Hey there, knowledge seeker. You ready for another deep dive?
Always.
You bet you are. This time, we are diving headfirst into the world of AI.
Ooh.
And get this, we're not just talking about AI that reads and writes. We're talking about AI that acts.
Ooh.
You sent us this really interesting article
Nice.
about the evolution from those large language models, LLM, everyone's buzzing about, to something called Agentic RAG.
Okay.
And trust me, once you hear what Agentic RAG can do,
Yeah.
you are going to want it managing your to-do list.
Well, it's certainly a fascinating area of AI research. And you're right, it's not just about understanding language anymore. It's about using that understanding to interact with the world in a much more meaningful way.
Okay, so the article starts with a bit of a foundation, talking about LLMs. There's things like ChatGPT that can write poems and answer your questions in like 5 different languages.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just rehash the basics, thankfully. It dives into how these LLMs have a bit of an Achilles heel.
Yes, exactly. While incredibly powerful, LLMs do have limitations. They rely entirely on the data they were trained on. So if that data is outdated, or if they encounter a query outside their training data, they can stumble.
Oh, okay.
Plus, processing huge amounts of text to answer every single query, that gets expensive. Computationally, that is.
Right, like trying to run a marathon every time you need to grab a snack from the kitchen. Not very efficient.
Yeah.
Which is where AG comes in, right? It's like giving those LLMs a library card to access up-to-the-minute information whenever they need it.
A very accurate analogy.
Yeah.
Retrieval Augmented Generation, or AG, lets LLMs tap into external databases in real time. Imagine asking a question and having the entire internet constantly updated at your fingertips. That's the power of RAG.
That's seriously impressive. But the article argues it's still not quite enough. We don't just want AI that's a walking encyclopedia. We want AI that can actually do things, like book a flight for us, not just tell us what flights are available.
Precisely. And that's where this idea of AI agents comes in. AI agents are designed not just to process information, but to take action based on that information. They can interact with tools, software, even physical environments to complete tasks autonomously.
So if RJ like having a super smart research assistant, an AI agent is like having a personal assistant who takes that research and actually does something with it.
Yes.
But it's the combination of the two, Agentic RAG, that's really capturing everyone's attention, right?
Absolutely. What makes Agentic RAG so compelling is how it blends the strengths of both approaches. It's not just about retrieving the right information. It's about understanding the implications of that information and then taking the most logical course of action.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm a little lost. Can you give me an example of how this Agentic RAG would work in the real world?
Imagine you're heading to a conference. Instead of telling an Agentic RAG to book a flight, reserve a hotel, and schedule meetings, you simply say, I need to be in New York for the AI Summit next month. And it takes care of everything. Flights, accommodation, even factoring in your existing schedule and preferences. It understands your intent, not just your commands.
Whoa, that's next level. So no more back and forth with those clunky travel websites. Trying to remember if I prefer aisle or window seats. This Agentic RAG would know all that just from my past behavior, right?
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The article talks about a technique called self-route. See, running these AI models, especially the long context LLMs that are great at understanding complex tasks, it takes a lot of computational power.
Okay.
Self-route essentially lets the AI decide when to use those big guns and when a simpler, more efficient approach will suffice.
So if I'm asking for a simple definition, like what is Agentic RAG? It wouldn't fire up the whole orchestra. It would just hand me the dictionary definition. But if I say, plan my next research project on AI ethics, then it knows to bring out the big guns.
Exactly. And that's essentially what self-route allows these Agentic RAG systems to do. It's all about optimization, making sure the AI is using its resources in the most intelligent and efficient way possible. And that's going to be increasingly important as these technologies continue to evolve.
Okay, I am starting to see why everyone's so excited about Agentic RAG. It's like the ultimate upgrade from just having access to information to actually being able to use it intelligently.
It's a significant leap forward, no doubt.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is how this technology has emerged from earlier advancements in AI. You can trace a clear line from those early LLMs with all their limitations to this new era of agentic systems.
You know, the article does a really good job of laying out that evolution. It's not just, here's the shiny new thing.
Yeah.
It actually takes the time to explain how we got here, which I appreciate.
It's important to see the bigger picture right. Like we've talked about how those early LLMs were amazing, but easily tripped up by their dependence on a fixed data set. And then RAG came along, and suddenly it was like those LLMs had a direct connection to a constantly updating library of information.
And now with Agentic RAG, it's like they've graduated from just reading every book in the library to actually being able to build something new with that knowledge. Although I'm still wrapping my head around the difference between R and AI agents. It feels a little blurry, if I'm being honest.
It's a subtle distinction, but an important one. You see, RAG, at its core, is all about knowledge augmentation. It's about giving the LLM the most comprehensive, up-to-date information possible. AI agents, on the other hand, are all about action. They use information to interact with the world, to achieve specific goals.
So RAG is like the ultimate researcher, gathering all the facts and figures, while the AI agent is the one who says, okay, here's what we're going to do with all this information.
Precisely. Think of it this way. RAG might analyze thousands of research papers on climate change to give you a detailed overview of the problem. An AI agent, using that same information, could then draft a plan to reduce emissions in a specific city, factoring in traffic patterns, energy consumption, and even local regulations.
Wow, that's a really clear example. So it's not just about understanding the problem, it's about using that understanding to drive meaningful action. Okay, now I'm really starting to see the potential here.
And just like their focuses are different, the mechanisms they use are also distinct. RAG excels at information extraction and integration, pulling data from all those external sources. AI agents rely on tool utilization and autonomous decision-making. They're designed to work within specific environments, whether it's a software platform or the physical world, to complete tasks.
It's like RAG is a master chef who can access any ingredient in the world, and the AI agent is the one who knows how to combine those ingredients into a delicious and beautifully presented dish.
Now you're speaking my language. But you've hit on a key point. Both RAG and AI agents have their strengths and limitations. A RAG, as amazing as it is still reliant on existing information. It can't invent a new recipe, so to speak. AI agents, while capable of action, are limited by the tools they have access to and the complexity of designing truly autonomous systems.
It's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? You want the vast knowledge of RAG, but also the agency and action-oriented approach of AI agents, which is where Agentic RAG comes in, right?
Yeah.
Bringing those two together seems like the holy grail.
It's definitely a major step in that direction.
Yeah.
And it's this combination that allows for even more sophisticated techniques like that self-root concept we touched on earlier.
Oh, right. The AI that can decide for itself when to call in the big guns. It's like having a super efficient assistant who knows exactly which tasks require their full attention and which ones can be handled with a quick Google search.
Exactly. And that's crucial because as these systems become more complex and capable, efficiency becomes paramount. We don't want an AI that needs to boot up a supercomputer every time we ask it to add something to our shopping list.
Okay, that's a hilarious image. But seriously, it makes perfect sense. It's like, why use a sledgehammer when a regular hammer will do, right?
Precisely. And that's essentially what self-root allows these agentic RAG systems to do. It's all about optimization, making sure the AI is using its resources in the most intelligent and efficient way possible.
This whole discussion has really highlighted how much thought goes into designing these systems. It's not just about making AI smarter, it's about making them smarter and more efficient.
Absolutely. And that's one of the most exciting things about this field. It's a constant push to find new and innovative ways to combine different approaches, to leverage the strengths of each while addressing their limitations.
It really feels like we're on the edge of something big here. We've gone from basic language models that could barely hold a conversation to these sophisticated systems that can access information, make decisions, and even act autonomously. It's honestly a little mind-blowing when you think about it.
It certainly makes you wonder, where do we go from here? What's next for Agentic RAG? Well, the article actually hints at some potential future directions. And let me tell you, it's pretty exciting stuff.
Okay, now you've got me on the edge of my seat. You can't just drop a teaser like that and not elaborate.
All right, you got me.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the future of Agentic RAG. One area that's particularly intriguing is the idea of moving beyond just text-based information and into the realm of multimodal integration.
Hold on, multimodal integration, that sounds pretty intense. What does that even mean in the context of AI? Okay, multimodal integration.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Just explaining, it is their bread and butter so far. You're right.
Wow.
But just like you and I experience the world
Yeah.
through sight, sound, touch, even smell and taste. Limiting AI to just text is like only giving them one sense.
Oh, okay.
Multimodal AI is about breaking down those barriers.
So instead of me just telling an AI agent, like, hey, I need a vacation, it could analyze my Pinterest boards full of tropical beaches, listen to my chill Spotify playlist, and be like, okay, this human needs some serious relaxation time on a sunny coast.
Exactly. It's about AI understanding the nuances of human experience, not just the literal meaning of our words. Imagine the possibilities for things like medical diagnosis, where AI could analyze scans, genetic data, and patient interviews to give doctors a much more complete picture.
Okay, now that is seriously impressive. Are there any other big leaps you think we'll see with Agentic RAG? The article mentioned something about better learning, right?
It did, right now. Even the most advanced AI agents are still pretty rigid in their thinking. They're great at following instructions, but not so great at adapting to unexpected situations or coming up with truly novel solutions.
Right, like my Roomba is great at vacuuming, but if it bumps into a new obstacle, it doesn't know how to move it out of the way. It just keeps bumping.
Now, imagine an AI agent that can not only learn from its mistakes, like, okay, bumping into that thing didn't work, let's try going around, but could even come up with a totally new strategy based on the situation.
So like an AI agent that's not just smart, but actually learns how to be smarter, that feels kind of scary, to be honest. Like, what's stopping it from outsmarting us all?
It's a question researchers are very aware of. And while we're still a long way from AI that can truly think for itself, ensuring these advanced systems are aligned with human values and goals is absolutely paramount. But that's a deep dive for another day.
Okay, good to know someone's thinking about that. But just to bring it back to our listener for a sec, what does all this Agentic RAG stuff actually mean for their everyday life?
It means a world where technology doesn't just make our lives easier, but actually helps us solve complex problems, make better decisions, and even unlock new levels of creativity and innovation. It means personalized medicine, hyper-efficient businesses, maybe even a future where climate change isn't such a daunting challenge.
Wow, okay. From smarter to-do lists to saving the planet, Agentic RA is sounding less like a cool tech thing and more like the future of, well, everything.
It's certainly a powerful tool, and like any tool, it has the potential for both incredible good and, if misused, potential downsides. But by understanding how it works, what it's capable of, and the ethical considerations that come with it, we can help shape a future where AI benefits everyone.
That's a great point to end on, and I think we've definitely given our listeners a lot to chew on today. From LLMs to RAG, all the way to Agentic RAG, and a glimpse into the future of AI. It's been quite a ride. Big thanks to you, our amazing expert, for breaking it all down so clearly. And to you, dear listener, for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're all on this journey of discovery together. Until next time, keep asking those big questions, and we'll keep diving deep for answers.